with bias in political economy and development studies, and currently a lecturer at the Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, Bayes University, Abuja, Dr. Adoye Omale. Dr. Omale, thank you so much for joining us on NTA International News.
Pleased to be here. I'm pleased to be here.
Well, let's begin with this. One of the fallouts of the U.S. election is the ongoing FBI probe of robocalls, urging voters to stay home on election day. What is your take on this?
Well, let me first congratulate the Nigerian who won the election in the U.S. Robocall is a spam mail or an internet or email, unsolicited email that is sent to voters, to people that have smartphones and other gadgets, to urge them not to go out to vote or for whatever propaganda that you want to make. So normally those who send these robocalls are normally anonymous. They are not traceable. And that is why the FBI is saying that it needs to probe, because as it is, nobody knows where these robocalls are coming from. Some allege that it is foreign, others allege that nobody knows. So that is why the FBI wants to carry out a probe. It's just unfortunate, and that is why even in Nigeria we are complaining about the misuse of social media, especially during the time of election. If this could be happening in advanced democracies like the U.S., then it's most unfortunate, because whether we like it or not, threatening of voters is should be an electoral offense, and for whoever is behind these robocalls certainly do not mean well for democracy in America. And the mere fact that the identity of those who are behind these robocalls are not known is why the FBI and other security agencies in the U.S. are very interested to unravel those behind them. We wait patiently to see what the results of these investigations are going to be.
Okay, Dr. Male, we see the outcome of the U.S. presidential election is on a knife edge, with Donald Trump and his rival Joe Biden neck and neck in key swing states. What is your expectation of this development?
I think the American people have spoken. Don't forget that before these elections, most of the polls predicted this neck-to-neck results. What is very clear is that the majority of the American people want a Biden presidency. And if you see the majority of votes and also the majority of the electoral vote, as we speak, currently, Biden has about 227 or thereabout, while Trump has about 213. So he's still on top. But this is elections. Anything can happen, and we don't know. There are lots of uncounted mail votes that are still there. We don't know at the end of the day, in some of the states that we are expecting that are still not counting is not finished. We don't know what those results are going to be. I know that in some of the states, the voting processes, the counting processes, the collation has not finished, and we don't know whether those will have significant impact on the.
Okay, as we speak, the electors play vital roles in the U.S. election. Could you throw more light on this? What does this mean?
Yes, the system, unlike our own system here, where majority, once you have a majority vote, you have won the election. In the U.S., you could have the majority of votes, just like Hillary Clinton had the last time, and still not be declared the winner of the election. The electoral college system was put in place by the framers of the American Constitution to have an electoral college of 530 persons who will now determine who the eventual president is going to be. Each of the states have electoral votes allocated to them. For example, California has the highest with 55. New York 29, Florida 29, and a state like Delaware has 3. So it depends, depending on several factors, population and so on and so forth, that these electoral colleges are allocated. So if you win a state like California, for example, you automatically have about 55 electoral votes. These electoral votes basically are that when the electors is sometime in December, early December, some weeks after this general election, they will have to meet. Okay. And then you have to vote according to the majority of the votes that are cast from your state.
Okay.
So each of the, all the votes from your state will now be collated, and then each of the electors will now have, if you have up to 270, it's assumed that you have won the election.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adoyo Mali. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us on NTA International News.
Thank you very much.
Well, now moving on, 54 out of 55 countries have signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, while 31 countries have ratified the agreement. Debate on the viability of implementing the agreement at the ECOWAS Parliament delocalized joint committee meeting, however, considers the readiness of the continent to make progress in this regard amid intervening variables like currency difference, national consciousness, consumerism, among others. Onenge Fine Face reports.
Debate on the challenges and prospects of our borderless Africa in a period of terrorism and insecurity, pandemics and protectionism, centered on underlying concerns that must be addressed before the Continental Free Trade Area can be implemented.
It is important that we increase the dialogue with the parliamentarians in the African continent to enable them to understand this agreement so that their representatives can also fast track and ensure that it is done.
One is the low level of industrialization in Africa. 2 is low level of production. And thirdly, that weak infrastructure.
Members of Parliament want such concerns as fragmented markets, difference in cross-border communication costs, daunting transportation systems, debts in in-continent production, effective settlement of disputes arising from commercial, investment and business relations, among others, to be addressed by the agreement.
Our corporate citizens who are mining our minerals, who are mining the gold, who are mining the diamonds, who are mining the iron ore, that Africa must now take a step to compel them to produce here.
It is very important that the issue of the currency, single currency, should be resolved.
The AfCFTA offers a historic opportunity for our countries to expedite export diversification, specialization of trade by increasing intra-Africa trade in value-added products.
Inclusivity, shared benefits, shared growth and improved negotiations were also considered as major aspects of the AfCFTA that parliamentarians will take up with National Assembly of Member States to enable them ratify the agreement in good time. In Cotonou, Benin Republic, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
And back in the country, the Federal Executive Council has approved over 87 billion naira for the construction, rehabilitation and completion of critical road projects in parts of the country. This is a part of efforts at sustaining the nation's trajectory towards addressing Nigeria's infrastructure deficit for enhanced socio-economic development. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu brings us the details.
It was the 31st meeting of the highest policy decision-making body of the Nigerian government for the year 2020 and 22nd to be held virtually in the new normal. With President Muhammadu Buhari presiding, the council considered and approved several memoranda on the enhancement of roads infrastructure in the southwest, north central, as well as the nation's capital, Abuja. For the FCT in particular, 30.6 billion naira has been approved for what the minister, Muhammad Musa Bello, described as full-scale development of arterial route linking the Sheikh Musa Yaradua Way with the Murtala Muhammad Way, otherwise referred to as the Kubwa Expressway. and in line with the general standards of rules in the FCT, the project to be completed in 32 months also comprised the provision of a number of bridges as well as telecommunications, power and water supply components.
The project is within phase 2 of the Federal Capital City and is going to serve adjoining districts of Mabushi, Kado, Katampe and Jahi. And it will also generally enhance overall the congestion of traffic in phases 1, 2, 3 and 4 of the Federal Capital City.
Similarly, 47.5 billion naira has also been approved for the completion of the 52-kilometer Oyo-Ogbomosho Highway in furtherance of the Buhari administration's policy directive of completing existing projects. The project is part of the 145-kilometer Ilorin-Ibadan Highway awarded in the year 2010.
We needed to adjust some things in the scope of works, the thickness of the pavement from 500 mm to 560 mm, to also change the asphalt to polymer modified bitumen, and also the shoulders from surface dressing to fully asphalted inside and outside shoulder. So all of this require changes in prices of 47.504 billion, and this has increased the total contract price to 105.041 billion.
The minister also secured the council's approval for the completion of Loko Iweto Bridge across River Benue, linking Nasarawa and Benue states.
That project was awarded in 2011, and it was awarded in 3 different sections. One section, the road to Benue, Oshogbedo Uweto, was awarded to one contractor. We have completed that road. The bridge was awarded to another contractor. The bridge is essentially finished now, it's open to traffic. And then the Loko to Nasarawa, 74 kilometers, was awarded to another contractor. We are trying to sort out that problem and we will come back to it. So the approval given today was a 9,348,000,000 variation to complete the bridge component, the remaining work on the bridge. But as you know, if you go there now, it's already open to traffic, just finishing abutment work and to link the existing road on the Benue side to the bridge is what we got this variation for.
The Loko Iweto Bridge, already in use, the minister said, provides a major time-saving detour of about 4 hours for the motoring public coming from the south through Benue and Nasarawa states and to Abuja, the nation's capital. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Ministers of the Federal Republic from the southwest region of the country are asking the federal government to undertake a thorough investigation into the alleged shooting at the Lekki Toll Plaza with a view to bringing perpetrators to justice. They also said efforts must be intensified towards restoring confidence in the Nigeria police as well as supporting Lagos State to rebuild damaged facilities. These were part of the recommendations the ministers submitted to the Federal Executive Council. And let's join Adamu Sambu again.
Following the wanton looting and destruction of both public and private property in the aftermath of the EndSARS protests in parts of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari directed ministers to visit their states with a view to finding facts on the worrisome development. Consequently, the returning ministers have started briefing the Federal Executive Council on the situation in their states and the best way forward. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola, on behalf of his colleagues from the Southwest region, described their engagement with those that matter, as well as tour of affected areas as an eye-opener.
Summary of which is that about 15 police stations were lost, commercial undertakings, especially malls in Lekki and many other parts of Sule were damaged, some schools were also damaged, private property was also damaged. Public buildings like the City Hall, the Lagos High Court, the Lagos Forensic Laboratory and DNA Center, The Nigerian Post Authority were also damaged, of course, the Palace of the Oba of Lagos, and many others.
Apart from showing the documentary evidence received from the governor of Lagos State, the Southwest members of the council recommended, amongst others, that the Center of Excellence be supported to restore damaged facilities, especially those relating to the maintenance of law and order, as well as the administration of justice.
To also urge the federal government to consider short to medium-term assistance to small and medium businesses who were affected by the looting and arson which took place in Lagos and in other parts of the country, to see if this can be done through the central bank intervention mechanism under the COVID-19 funding or any other related funding mechanism. We also recommended the federal government to actively seek and support the pursuit of justice for all by ensuring that any of those apprehended or identified to have been involved in perpetration of this carnage be speedily brought to justice and fairly tried. We also urge the federal government to consider issues of substance abuse amongst the populace and propose solutions, because this potentially affects mental health. We made this recommendation mindful of the global opioid and substance abuse crisis and the impact on our country as well. And we think this is a matter that requires some attention and focus.
A recommendation has also been made by the ministers from the Southwest that critical agencies and organs of government like the National Orientation Agency be remobilized to focus on ethical reorientation, critical thinking, empathy, self-respect, civic duty, and human rights, while inculcating family values into the school curriculum. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. We take a break now. The news continues in a while.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms." On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings, with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state, and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youths and civil society, as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy, no conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
Nigerian scientists are working out a modality aimed at improving on research and development in the nuclear application that will be deployed to health, power and agriculture sectors. Chairman Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission Mukhtar Ali made this known at the National Workshop on Stakeholders' Needs and Requirement for the Deployment of Multipurpose Research Reactor in Nigeria. Adebola Bruslinson reports.
In nuclear technology, some specific elements are manipulated and transformed into energy as a result of change in the nucleus of atoms. Nigeria currently has only one research reactor in operation, a 30-kilowatt miniature neutron source research reactor domiciled in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. It is used for neutron activation analysis, education, and training. These scientists drawn from across the country are focusing on a strategy to overcome shortcomings such as medical radioisotopes, neutron beam experiments, and other advanced applications in the current reactor.
And there is also a source of revenue. With the multipurpose research reactor, radioisotopes can be produced. These radioisotopes are very good in hospitals, especially for the treatment of diseases like cancer. The nuclear power plant is going to project Nigeria because electricity is the bedrock for all kinds of development.
The president made mention that he is totally in support of peaceful application of nuclear science and technology for socio-economic development.
When completed, the multipurpose reactor will be the only one in West Africa capable of large-scale radioisotopes production, which is a springboard to acquiring nuclear power plant for electricity generation. Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
Now let's join Joyce Ometu, who will bring us latest developments on the coronavirus pandemic and other happenings across the globe.
The number of coronavirus patients currently hospitalized in U.S. hospitals has exceeded 50,000, the highest level reported in nearly 3 months, as a surge in infections threatens to push the nation's healthcare system to the edge of capacity. Similarly, England has about 11,000 critically ill hospitalized coronavirus patients spread across 22 hospitals. The National Health Service is now set to return to its highest alert level. The health agency's chief executive, Simon Stevens, said the move to level 4 was in response to a rise in coronavirus patients needing intensive care. Meanwhile, Hungary's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade has tested positive for COVID-19 after arriving in Thailand for an official visit. Thai officials said Peter Zijarto and his 12-member delegation were tested after their arrival on Tuesday from Cambodia, but only the foreign minister was found to be infected. Looking at the case metrics, Johns Hopkins coronavirus database as at 6 p.m. local time shows that the world has witnessed 48,057,317 positive cases and 1,223,446 fatalities. Of these figures, Africa accounts for 1,827,376 coronavirus infections, while Nigeria has 63,173 cases confirmed, 59,634 recoveries, and 1,151 deaths recorded. Away from the pandemic, the United Nations, the African Union, and the West African Bloc, ECOWAS, have urged the opposition in Côte d'Ivoire to respect constitutional order after it rejected President Alassane Ouattara's re-election and vowed to set up a transitional government. A joint statement has called on all parties to exercise dialogue and restraint. And that ends this segment. I am Joyce Ometu.
That ends the news. Remember to connect with NTA and stand against rape and rapists. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Justin Bemunyi.